It's time to start addressing we have a problem in the community. Like, why exactly are mediocre products like Starfield, like Diablo 4, like Street Fighter 6, like Final Fantasy 16, like Hi-Fi Rush, all of this stuff, Elden Ring, like why is all this terrible stuff allowed to be hyped up? Like why exactly are these games like considered the best ever? Why exactly are they so heavily promoted? Why exactly do we allow them to get away with calling them like novel action games or novel games in general or just fresh original experiences? Like why exactly are we sitting down, allowing this to happen, and then seeing the same group of people try and spin it around and try to say that the new Nintendo games, right? The Bayonetta 3s, the No More Heroes 3s, the Shin Megami Tensei 5s, the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, right? The Fire Emblem Engages, the Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Why are we letting these same people turn around and try to tell you that those games are bad? And that has been a problem for the past year or so, is that like it's increasingly feeling as if like the gaming community is getting more comfortable accusing Switch games of not being great, of like trying to like throw out weird allegations about the quality, about like the general structure, like the art styles, like all this stuff. Like when the Switch first came out, it was kind of it was there was a little bit of pushback to this. Like when people tried to make fun of Breath of the Wild, people understood like what was happening. Like, yeah, it's just people trying to downplay the Switch, right? And now, although nothing's changed on that, like it feels like people aren't defending Tears of the Kingdom like they should, right? When I think of Tears of the Kingdom, when I think of like how much time I put into it, like I come away with a great experience, right? Like Tears of the Kingdom is a monumental achievement in gaming, right? It is a huge evolution over what Breath of the Wild did, a huge evolution of the gaming formula, and is indisputably one of the best games ever made as a result of that. However, you have a lot of individuals out there, primarily YouTubers, who are trying to tell you that like, oh no, Tears of the Kingdom isn't that special. Baldur's Gate 3 is special, right? I've re-rolled characters 3 or 4 times on Act 1 because Act 2 and 3 are garbage. But like I keep starting the game over again with different builds just to see how different. See, Baldur's Gate 3 is special. Baldur's Gate 3 is the real game of the year for no particular reason. Never mind that it's a niche genre with like that isn't nearly as good as it's hyped up to be. That's nowhere near as good as it's hyped up to be. Like, never mind all the problems with the story, the woke content, with like the general structure, the gameplay, the writing. Oh, it's the greatest game ever because we have nothing else. Right? That is the grim reality of non-Nintendo gaming right now, is that like stuff like Starfield, stuff like Baldur's Gate 3, like they have to be promoted because when you get right down to it, there is nothing to look forward to on non Nintendo platforms. Not PC gaming, not Xbox, and not PS5, right? There is nothing to look forward to. And yet these people are still coming out and religiously pretending as if like games like Tears of the Kingdom are disappointing, that they're boring, that they're not great. And it's just such a laughable concept to me as someone who's played Tears of the Kingdom. And not even just played Zelda, like played every every genre, every game from every major developer, minor developers as well. Like someone who has a versatile knowledge of video games. Like I know that the people who are ragging on Tears of the Kingdom for petty reasons haven't really played the game and have no idea what they're talking about. You can see this with Sean Malmstrom, you can see this with Mike Matei, you can see this with like any of these people, is that they're not fans of video games. And as a result of that, they don't have a very good perspective on what makes Tears of the Kingdom great. And that is the core problem, is that people are not taking the time to understand what makes Tears of the Kingdom better than Breath of the Wild. It is hilarious to me, much like the Mario movie, how people are still like reutilizing like arguments made before the game came out to try and like justify why they don't like the game now. Like, oh, it's the same map as Breath of the Wild. Not true. It's completely different, right? Like it is the same like location, but like it's the same location the same way that like A Link Between Worlds is the same location as A Link to the Past, right? It is a completely different game in spite of like the similar map design. And if you spent any time with Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, you would notice the changes. You would notice how things have changed. And if you played both, like I have, you would understand how both games play completely differently, right? You would understand that Tears of the Kingdom is an extremely special title and that the complaints lobbied against it are completely petty and make no sense whatsoever. Like, that is the reality of what I'm getting at. When I see someone try to rag on Tears of the Kingdom, try to complain about it, like, I don't take them seriously. I don't take anybody who says that seriously. Because at the end of the day, I have played Tears of the Kingdom. I know how good this game is, and I know just how desperate certain groups of people are in order to find something to complain about when it comes to this specific release. Like I have no intention, none of allowing the industry, gamers, bloggers, YouTubers, to try and downplay this release. Like, even now, these guys are trying to say that this game is not Game of the Year material. Bullshit. Not only is it Game of the Year, it's one of the best games of the generation, right? This is a repeat of what happened with Animal Crossing New Horizons, in which an incredibly innovative, popular title came out and was heavily downplayed by people trying to sell you on, like, The Last of Us Part 2, right? This is a very similar situation, right? I know very, very strongly that 5 years from now, that Tears of the Kingdom will be extremely beloved and popular, right? Because what's happening is that people with an agenda are aggressively coming at the game, while like people who are fans who actually play and enjoy the game for what it is are still playing through it, right? Who are still like in the process of their multi-hundred-hour long playthroughs, who are experiencing everything this game has to offer. Like, even now, 4 months later, I imagine the vast majority of the gaming public hasn't really experienced everything Tears of the Kingdom has to offer. Like, it's going to be years before people have, like, a nuanced opinion on what makes Tears of the Kingdom great. And I cannot wait to see this game be acknowledged as one of the best ever, right? Breath of the Wild was a great, innovative title in the Zelda series. Very, very fresh, very great take, better than a lot of the older ones, and a lot of boomers, right? A lot of old fucks, right? Guys with one foot in the grave, Mike Matei. Like, these guys are going to fight you. They're going to try to tell you what they really wanted was a more traditional Zelda game, right? They're going to try to tell you that this isn't what they wanted, that this isn't what this isn't what they wanted from the franchise, that they wanted something different, and you need to remind them about what happened with The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. You need to remind them about Skyward Sword, about Wind Waker, about Zelda 2, right? These wildly hated games that were despised by a good portion of the gaming public when they first came out, that were heavily damage controlled, which were hated for decades in some cases. How those games have gone on to be legit classics and are very well respected for what they are. No matter what you do, no matter how badly you cry, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom will be remembered as a great game. And nothing you do will ever change that.